Hello you guys, welcome back to the channel. Upgrading from a Harris's Hawk, this week's video. Thankfully we're back with some falconry videos. It's been a while and it was all down to time. Vlogs and some of the other videos, it's as you happen, have to kind of literally have to stop doing something to make these sometimes, and it has been manic. Upgrading from a Harris's Hawk, well, there's a thumbnail for you, bit of clickbait maybe, because I know half of you guys now are thinking, yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing this season. I'm gonna upgrade. I'm gonna get something else, another bird of prey, instead of the Harris's Hawk that I've been flying. Equally, half of you are going to be thinking, what? Upgrading from a Harris's Hawk? Well, that's not possible. Why are you upgrading? What's happening to the Harris Hawk? Are you saying the Harris Hawk is rubbish and you need something better? A lot of people do say the Harris Hawk is rubbish and they want something better or faster. They usually go on to get a Goshawk. Do I agree with them? No, not at all. Not at all. If you watch any of my falconry videos, you will know that the Harris's Hawk is something I think is an amazing super species of falconry bird. Can you upgrade from it? No, you can't upgrade from your Harris's Hawk. What you can do is try something new. Try a species you've not flown before. Try something different. So firstly, we're going to have a brief look sort of back at the Harris's Hawk, and then we're going to look at 3 other species that are usually flown instead of a Harris Hawk or by people moving away from a Harris's Hawk, not upgrading. So the species that I tend to see people fly most when they change from a Harris's Hawk are Goshawks. That's almost become a cliche now. My Harris's Hawk is rubbish, it doesn't catch anything, but my friend's Goshawk, it's so much faster, it catches lots of stuff. Therefore I'm getting a Goshawk. That is a difficult one, but we'll rationalise that later. Redtail hawk, again something different, often flown at the beginning of falconry instead of a Harris's Hawk. And golden eagles, which have become a completely different thing than they were 20 years ago in falconry in the UK. Bearing on, we are in the UK, all our birds are captive bred. Upgraded from a Harris's Hawk. No, you can't upgrade. So in the UK now, probably most of the world, the Harris's Hawk is known as the beginner's bird. It's the beginner's bird. That's what it's known as. It's almost a derogatory term now. If you walked into many falconry meeting or club, it's probably fair to say, if the majority were falconers or goshawkers, as in they flew long wings or goshawk short wings, and you said, hi, my name's Fred, I'm come to join a club. What do you fly? I fly a Harris's Hawk. Oh yeah, Fred over there, yeah, he only flies a Harris's Hawk. That is pretty much how many people see that species. Lots of people I know see them as, oh, it's just they just fly as a Harris's Hawk. What a shame. What a shame. When I started falconry, they were over £1,000 each, and before then they were over £2,000 each. People 30 to 40 years ago were not paying £2,000 plus for a bird that was known to be just a Harris Hawk, not very good. A lot of it's snobbery, and a lot of it is that it's when it becomes mainstream. Harris's Hawks are a beginner's bird, and they're a beginner's bird because they're so forgiving of your mistakes. They almost train the falconer. They're a social species. The Galapagos hawk is a social species, but nothing in the world is like the Harris's Hawk when it comes to hunting in a pack. It's hardwired to do that in a lot of its range. So you've got a bird that's so easy to train that the rank beginner that really hasn't even bothered to do a lot of research or reading about falconry practice, they'll achieve something. They'll become falconers. They'll catch something with a trained bird of prey. They'll become falconers. So it is a beginner's bird. It will forgive a lot of stuff that other birds would stick talons in the back of your hand for if you got it wrong and you insulted them in such a way. The Harris's Hawk will often forgive that. But that doesn't mean it's just a beginner's bird, because it helps beginners get on the path of falconry easier. Harris's Hawks are, without doubt, the most versatile, amazing species employed in falconry, and that's because they are jack of all trades and master of many. You can catch all kinds of game with them. You can, whatever game's most available, you can have sport with a Harris's Hawk. If you need to do pest control, you can do that with a Harris's Hawk. If you need to regularly feed yourself and your birds meat, you can definitely do that with a Harris's Hawk. Almost independent of where you live. They'll fly in mountains, they'll fly in total flatlands, they'll fly in wooded country, they'll fly in small broken English field type country with a few copses. They can slope soar fantastically, They can straight line off the fists fantastically. They can follow on through trees fantastically. And they can take all kinds of things. The reason they're not revered now is really so many people start with a Harris's hawk. So many people that get into falconry and they practice falconry for a year and they know it all, keep the Harris's hawk. A lot of this is all mediocre falconry. If you're a beginner, it's probably going to be mediocre falconry that you start out with, isn't it? You're getting better. There's a fly in here that's really winding me up. So if the majority of Harris's hawks are flying by novices and people happy with mediocre falconry, then those birds become mediocre because they're never gotten fit, they're never given the greatest of challenges. So then the whole of the Harris hawk becomes a mediocre. Oh, they're mediocre. I've seen a Harris hawk fly, mediocre. They are a beginner's bird, but they are a top level falconer's bird. They are a bird that falconers that started with them and went on to fly other things, those few falconers that became top level falconers, if they haven't got one, they should definitely revisit Harris's hawks with all that knowledge of understanding of how the birds think, of how the terrain works, of falconry itself. They are epic. As you know, if you watch this, my son Kyle flies the most fantastic Harris's hawk, Zara. She's not a giant thing. There used to be Harris hawks around a £3 mark once, I believe. She'll fly around £2.8, £2.6.5, £2, kind of a reasonable sized Harris's hawk. And she is a machine. Her prey drive beats any other bird I've ever seen fly. She will get up and rechase supersized quarry, fully winter fit brown hares, even when she's not even fit yet. And another of all-time best falconry birds I've seen fly for drive, willingness, obedience, excitement is Kyle's friend Thomas. He flies a male Harris's hawk that was a completely tame hacked imprint, slightly different to nearly all the other Harris's hawks. This bird was flying in the wind as a super fit bird before you and I would take a Harris's hawk, even from an aviary parent rear, to train it. It was a machine flying wise, fully skilled up at 12 or 14 weeks before we'd start one, normally at 16 weeks. Harris's hawks are immensely amazing birds if you want to be a falconer at top level, if you want to understand how your bird thinks, work with it, serve the bird, don't think of it as a weekend slave, get it super fit, and therein lies the thing. Harris's hawks, they need to be super fit, flown most days and hunted most days of the week if you want to see a Harris's hawk that is expert level falconry bird. An unfit Harris hawk looks way slower than an unfit goshawk. An unfit Harris's hawk catches less stuff, point and shoot, than an unfit goshawk, because they're completely different birds in how they do things. I love Harris's hawks. This video is not derogatory, moving up from a Harris's hawk. It's moving away from a Harris's hawk to try something new. So something new. What do you do with your Harris's hawk? It's going to live 20 to 30 years. There's a conundrum for you straight away. Do you rest it in an aviary while you fly something else and refly it at latter years? Do you lend it to someone else, a really good falconer that you trust will fly your amazing Harris's hawk well? Or do you have a mediocre Harris's hawk because you've not done a very good job of training it? Maybe you're a beginner and you didn't study enough. Just because you're a beginner, you're going to get things wrong unless you've got a really, really good mentor that's strict on you. Is it just not catching a lot? Well, if it's not catching a lot, you changing species isn't going to do a lot for your falconry. If it's not catching a lot, it's because it's not fit. You're not flying it where there's sufficient quarry. You're not enabling it to catch quarry in the right setting to give it confidence. Late summer, early autumn, lots of young quarry around. Are you just flying it where it doesn't have a chance because there's not a lot of game? Don't get anything else. It's not going to make any difference. If you can't put the time in to get a Harris's hawk fit, you're not going to do any good with anything else. You're really not on a regular thing. So think about that. Your Harris's hawk is brilliant. If it's rubbish and that's why you're leaving it behind, it's you, not the bird. That's not an insult. It is you, not the bird. You're not going to make a better job of any other bird because all the other birds are harder to train and work with than a Harris's hawk. So you must bear that in mind. Red-tailed hawks, brilliant. I love red-tailed hawks, and a big chunk of me thinks all novices in the UK that want to take up a short wing stroke broad wing, they should all start with a red-tailed hawk. That's not. I'm not saying they should, but there's a reason I think a big chunk of me thinks you should start with a red-tailed, not a Harris's hawk. It is a more normal falconry bird because it's just a lone hunter in the wild. It's not a pack hunter. It hasn't got that hard wiring to facilitate you as a pack easily. It needs to understand your purpose and what's the point of you far more than a Harris's hawk does. It's harder to train because it's harder to motivate. It even needs even more work to get properly fit than a Harris's hawk does. So you've got to think of how you motivate this bird of prey, which means you've got to get into its head. And once you get into the bird of prey's head, you have become a completely different level of falconer overnight. Horse whisperers don't whisper in the ear of horses to tell them what to do. Horse whisperers are people that understand the psychology of a horse and how it behaves and does things and reacts to things. Once you can do that with a bird of prey, your falconry will change immensely. A red-tailed hawk is a true buzzard, a buteo. It is programmed very much like a true eagle to do nothing, save and hold on to calories, burn calories to get a reward, measure the reward before you've even thought about getting it. Is it worth this chasing this animal? Not really. It's looking like it's going to get away. It's too fast. I'll sit in this tree and I'll wait for something easier and smaller to bumble along that I can fall on. That's your eagle and your buteo sort of way of thinking. Do the bare minimum, not react and chase something just because it's moving. Think about it. Now that's too hard. Let's wait for something easier. We've still got enough fat on our bones to sit here a while longer. You've got to motivate that bird. No different to a golden eagle. You've got to motivate it. Motivating that bird does not mean starving it until it's so hungry it will be motivated. It won't. You've got to get its psychology working. And once you've got enough weight off of that bird for it to start thinking about feeding on the glove, feeding on a lure, coming to you for a tidbit, then you can modify that behaviour and start getting that bird working and working. Once it's working and moving, just like a golden eagle, that bird's metabolism is going to kick in and change. A falcon is burning fuel when it's asleep on the runway. A falcon is sucking calories away. Buzzards and eagles, they're not like that. When they're sitting still, their metabolism slows down and they conserve calories like you can't believe. They're also big and bulky, helps conserve calories in the cold. Once you've got your red-tailed hawk motivated and moving, and you can get that bird fit, it will be a machine because it will smash into cover like no other bird there is. It is kamikaze. It's also thicker set. It's not going to break bones like a Harris's hawk certainly can in its younger months for sure. You've got a bird that will soar fantastically if you live in mountain country or slope country. You've got a bird that will follow on when it's motivated, because you've also got a red-tail is a bird that will sit in a tree and will not budge for love nor money. If it's not motivated and you haven't thought about how its brain works, you haven't understood how it works in the wild. So very different bird from a Harris's hawk. An absolute bulldog of a bird. Again, it can take, we're talking of these birds here, Harris's hawks, red-tails, goshawks and golden eagles. In so much as if you're moving from a Harris's hawk, you probably just want something different to still fly at the same quarry in the same landscape you have. Different options. So it will take all the same sort of things. A little bit bigger. A male red-tail is probably going to fly around £1.12 in the winter, and a female, you know, sort of £3-ish, maybe a little bit more. Big brutes of a bird, very different, lots more to think about in the motivational sense. They'll fly through woodland hunting squirrels, they'll fly through woodland hunting rabbits, they'll soar on slopes. So similar niche to your Harris's hawk, but they're going to do things so very, very differently. And they are not going to train you, and they're not going to give you an easy time. If you learn with a red-tailed hawk the basics of falconry, you will be a better falconer if you get through it and you're passionate, not a numpty, not a messer, than you will if you get to taking quarry well with a Harris's hawk. If you've got to that stage with a red-tail, you will more than likely know more about motivation, psychology and fitness training, and the reasons we say birds of prey should be flown most days of the week to get the best out of them, whether it's hunting or fitness. Harris's hawks, red-tailed hawks, you can fly them and you can do fitness training with them. It can be boring jump ups to a step ladder, not hunting every day. They will take that psychologically and they'll be motivated to hunt on the days you can go hunting. You can do jump ups with a redtail. You can do jump ups with a Harris's hawk in the evening, 5 days a week, and hunt for 2. Psychologically, it will be there. Don't worry about it. First year redtail, if you're less empathetic to that bird and understanding of birds, tethered birds and working birds and handling birds, you're more likely to break feathers on that bird than any Harris's hawk. Slightly brittle feathers. So that brings me to the goshawk.